Welcome YouTube and welcome back to my channel once again. Today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a tutorial on how to make big reactors. Very simple, very easy. One thing to note before we get started is that these do not blow up, no matter how hot it gets, and no matter how much uranium you feed it. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need a few items. As you see, I have a preset open for you to show you an explanation of how this works. But for the beginner parts, you're going to need reactor casing. You're going to need one reactor controller, a couple of reactor control rods, and a reactor power tap, just one, and reactor access port, just one. As well to mention, enough uranium fuel rods to fill in the inner side of, well, your reactor. Ignore all this guys up here, this is just how I built this. As you get started, you're going to need quite a bit of reactor casings because as you see, you're going to have to make a box. The way this box format works is you always want to make sure you have a bottom surface, whether how big or how small. Once you have your bottom surface, go ahead and start building up the edges. Given that you've already done this, you're going to want to go ahead and take your uranium rod in this instance, put it right there. And since the reactor control rods have to be on the top of your uranium fuel rod, we're going to take this and put it right on top of that. Then when you're done, go ahead and fill in the edges. After you have this done, you'll notice the multi-structure block has not quite put itself set to where it needs to be. The way to get this done, the quick fast way, is put a reactor controller in there, and there you're done. But we're not quite done because we need to be able to tap into the power and then be able to feed it fuel. So go ahead and put the fuel access port in and the power tap in. Once you've done so, you're now done. You can now connect cable to here and to your machines or to a battery. And then from here you simply put uranium fuel in there. Whether they're ingots or blocks. Sometimes blocks work, sometimes they don't. When you're done, you'll see that I have something very, very identical to that one, which they are identical. And from here all I did was use universal cables from Mod Mechanism and connected it to a macerator from IC2, Industrial Craft 2. This is an EU machine. This is powering out RF and feeding this EU. After that you'll see these are two RFs and they're feeding this as well. I haven't really figured out what this is going to do, but we're going to ignore that. So it can do multiple types of power sources if you use Mechanism, which I do recommend. Now, all you need to know is that when you have your controller, your access port, and then your power tap, you cannot place any of those along the edges. They must be between the edges. You cannot put it on the top edge, you cannot put it on the bottom edge, and you cannot put it on the side edges of any kind. They must be somewhere in the middle of the edges. Even if, to say, I made this reactor, theoretically, this high. I could then take the controller, access port, and power tap, and I could put it in any of these three blocks up to here. Just to give you an explanation of what I mean by edges, which is all this, is what you cannot put these three items on. Keeping this in mind, once you have it set up, this is how you can complete it, and from there you should be done. As I said, you do have to complete the floor and then start with the fuel rods. The fuel rods are simple. Once you have your floor set, given that you know your size, the way you have to place your fuel rods is kind of like a checkered board. So you take one for this example, very small, and you put it here. The next place you're going to need it is here, and then you want to keep checkerboarding it. Everything in the middle you can ignore. That would be where you put your coolant, if to say you go that far in learning it. But this is just a basic tutorial on how to get it set up. When you have something like this set, is when you go ahead and do the outlines. As you see, I've now previously done this wrong because I've not properly outlined it. So what I would have to do is go in here and properly outline it. And there you go, it's done. I can either A, take my reactor control rods and put them all along the top of these fuel rods, and then come and case it all up. Or I can make it taller and then start casing it all up. Given that you've followed all these instructions and you've understood what I've said, you're good to go and you can have fun with this mod. They can be very powerful depending on the size you make with them, but they can also take a lot of yellorium. Yellorium is the main fuel source to fuel these. Alrighty guys, I hope this really helps. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the commentary and I'll try to help you the best I can. If you have any tips or ideas on another tutorial that you'd like to see me do, let me know the mod or plugin, and I'll try to do that as fast and as best as I can. Until then guys, I will see you around on the next video.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.